Hello there, boys and girls. Welcome to another one of these vlog type things filmed with a shitty phone camera. Today is something different that we've never covered on the channel. So for those of you that haven't kept up, which is most of you I would assume, is I will be going to New Orleans in a few weeks, about four and a half at this point. I'm going to be interning down there at a manufacturing facility, and it doesn't mean anything until I tell you that I live like 750, 800 miles away from there right now. So it's quite a big trip, and with that, you know, you obviously have to bring some stuff. The place I'm going to, at least one of the places I'm looking at, is, should be pre-furnished, but I'm still going to have to bring, you know, clothes and all my you know, personal items and all that sort of thing. And because I'm staying down there for 12 weeks, it's not just like 3 or 4 weeks. If it was that, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But because I'll be down there for, you know, a quarter of a year almost, I need some good stuff. You know, I want to bring my favorite things with me. And one of those is a computer, a nice gaming computer. Not only so I can, you know, play games and keep up and that sort of thing. There's a bunch of stuff I want to like replay over the summer, like Batman Arkham Knight and The Witcher New Game Plus, and keep up with the DLC with Fallout and all that stuff. But also so I can continue making content for you guys and continue to play with Ashton and Logan and stuff. So I need a PC. Like, I have to have one that is just as powerful as what I have now, at least, you know, for my own personal desires. So the problem with that is, here's my current PC. This is the Merovingian. Squeaky ass chair making noise. I don't know if you can tell just from, you know, let me back up a little bit. It's big. It's in a full tower. When I bought it, it was not exactly considered. I mean, this is an Xbox One next to it for size considerations. It's large, you know, has a AIO cooler in it. 200 millimeter fan up front, so it's, you know, even wider than that to accommodate that huge fan. So it's big. It's a full tower. It weighs like, I don't know, 20 something pounds without hardware in it, and then with the PC in it, it weighs past 50. I think it feels like it, or really close to it. It's not moved that spot from that spot except maybe 2 or 3 times, and I've only brought it over, you know, to my parents' house for like breaks and stuff. It's not movable very, very much whatsoever. Even more concerning is not so much the weight, just how much space it takes up. It takes up like an entire section behind the seat of my truck, and I only have a single cab truck, and that's when I'm bringing down to New Orleans. Like, I gotta fit, you know, computer, some peripherals I'll be taking. Obviously, if I have a computer, I have to have that. I'll be taking some guitar stuff, then, you know, all the shit I actually have to have. So that's just, it's undoable. I cannot take that. Not to mention that when you transport computers, I'm pretty much going to have to take out a GPU. If I were to do that, I'd have to take out the AIO cooler. It's just ridiculous. So I can't take that computer. So what am I going to do? One option I thought about was to just buy a new laptop. The laptop I currently have is aging. It's not bad, but the dedicated GPU it has is not a gaming GPU. It could barely play stuff even in 2013. But it's a great workstation laptop. So what I thought about doing is buying a new one, and my dad was like, hey, I'll give you $500-600 for that one. It's overkill for what I need it for, but it's nice, and I would take it. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. That way I could just, you know, I already have a slot in my backpack, wouldn't take up that much room, it'd be awesome. However, even if I spent like $2,000 on the highest end laptop, I still wouldn't even have like half the performance of my desktop, because that's running a GTX 980 Ti. The only thing that comes close to that on a laptop are the really high-end laptops that come with the GTX 980 desktop chip in them, and those run a lot higher than even $2,000. So that was kind of out of the way. So I was really left with one thing. It's like, if this takes up too much room, I have to get it down to a smaller form factor. Let's just do that. Let's switch to a smaller form factor. So like I said, this is a, you know, full tower with an ATX motherboard, you know, regular ATX form factor. So how about we just take as much out of it as we can, and we'll put it in a smaller form factor, something that instead of being size like that is closer to that size. So here's what I bought. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the Thermaltake Core V1 Cube, I believe is the official name. This is a Mini-ITX case, and it has a lot of nice properties that made me purchase it in the end. So one of the coolest things about it that a lot of Mini-ITX cases don't include or have functionality to include is the ability to use a full ATX power supply. A lot of these Mini-ITX cases, you have to get a smaller power supply, or even if the ones that do accept full ATX power supplies, they would be like mounted up top and would be like hovered or just squishing on your motherboard and CPU cooler, which is something that I didn't exactly love. This thing, you have to sacrifice maybe a little bit of height because of it, but that is totally worth it to me because of that, I can use this. So I got another EVGA gold power supply. This is only a 650 compared to the 750 I'm running in there. The 750 is overkill anyway. This thing will be a little bit overkill as well, but this will give me room to expand on both units. So that's why I'm using that. Gold because of the efficiency. I really love my EVGA power supply, and I get gray goo for free. So haven't activated that yet, but I will be doing that shortly. I don't have all the parts in yet, so that's the two I want to show you right now. I'll finish this up when we get the rest in. But the motherboard is going to lay flat like so in this slot. GPU will be upright coming out through here, and you can peek down to the top window. You'll be able to see all that. So like I said, the rest of the parts aren't here, but I got a few of these in, and I can at least start this. I chose this particular case because my roommate actually has the micro ATX version of this exact case. It's a little bit bigger, obviously, because it's micro instead of mini. So, you got a little bit more room each way, but he absolutely loves it. I love it. Like, it looks great. Perfect for functionality for what I need. Also, this massive 200, at least 200, maybe 240 millimeter fan. That's big. But plenty of juicy airflow, and it's still extremely compact compared to what I'm used to. So let me do you a exact comparison here. Boosh. So it's a tad bit smaller. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, it's approximately half the height, approximately half the width or depth, and a little bit wider in that dimension. Overhanging by an inch and a half, a couple inches. That dimension doesn't matter so well going this way because it'll be able to fit behind my truck seat no problem. So that isn't really even a concern. But yeah, it's like almost a quarter of the volume of that thing. And fortunately, with this move, I won't even have to make that much of a sacrifice for performance. The only thing that will really be affected by this is the overclock I have on my CPU. So right now I'm pushing 4.5 gigahertz on my i7 2600K, and that is partially due to the fact that it is water cooled. But the entire reason it's able to do that is because it's on a Z77 motherboard, which was the overclockable board of the Sandy Bridge generation, at least the best one. The Mini-ITX board that I bought, because it's not here yet, and if you go between these two form factors, you have to, a normal ATX board is not going to fit in that thing. The board I bought, like, it was one of the only available ones that they still sold. I couldn't believe I could find one at all. Was a H81, H71. I can't remember what number it was exactly, but it's non-overclockable. It does have a turbo boost mode though. So basically, my unlocked i7 will be able to turbo boost from 3.4 gigahertz to 3.8 gigahertz instead of So I'm going to lose 700 megahertz. It doesn't really matter too much, except for like a few open games, like open world games. Might lose some frame rate. My min frame rates may dip lower than I'm used to in stuff like Fallout 4 or Witcher. But I'll turn down a couple settings. Like that, I don't care. That is worth the sacrifice to me. So I'm not too worried about that. I almost thought about just, let's buy a whole new setup. Let's do fucking nice, 4690K, or let's do a 6600K or something like that. But I'm trying to keep the cost to the minimum just in case that I do upgrade that, entire rig to, say, the new Broadwell chips are supposed to come out here soon. So basically, this is a temporary move for now, but by the time I get everything moved and settled and stuff, I should have almost an entire new computer, bare bones computer, ready to go, minus 2 or 3 needed parts that I have to have. So that's the plan, and we'll start moving and building and getting stuff moved around when all the other parts come in. But for now, I'm just going to keep playing with this thing, and I'll plan and all that stuff. Also, I'm gonna go redeem Grey Goo. So I guess we'll speak next time when all the new parts come in, and we'll, continue this video. All right, well, my prayers have been answered by the Newegg gods. Everything has arrived in one piece, as far as I can tell. That's these two right here. Those are the main things that came in today. Everything appears to be in working order. So I guess I'll go over everything, what it is, why I got it, what it's supposed to do. The case we've already talked about. It's going to accept the full ATX power supply, Mini-ITX, ample amount of airflow, awesome cable management, and still in a very small form factor. So that's why we're going with that. I've talked enough about that, I believe. Of course, power supply that'll be going with this is fully modular. I don't know that I mentioned that previously, but that will definitely aid in the cable management. We have limited space in this thing, although this is probably one of the better Mini-ITX cases if you're worried about cable management, and you should be with Mini-ITX because you don't have a lot of room to work with. So any unnecessary cables we don't have to use, and I was very impressed with my 750 that I have in my full tower, so that's why we're using that. This is the Mini-ITX motherboard. This is my first Mini-ITX motherboard, first build, period. We'll open this up momentarily. This is Windows 8 ready. Fortunately, we'll be running Windows 8.1 on this thing, which is also ready for. So that's good. I can't believe that a motherboard fits in a box that's like as big as my hand. That's crazy to me. Got a new CPU cooler. I have an air cooler. You guys kind of see the artwork there. This is a Fantex. My full tower case is made by Fantex. I was impressed by the tower, by the fans. I figured I'd give this one a go. This was supposed to be like a low profile cooler, kind of like the Cooler Master Gemini, if you're familiar with those. I have a big V8, like the original Cooler Master V8s, but it's like a few millimeters too tall to fit in the case there. And I thought to myself, you know what? We're doing a mini anyway. Let's try something different. I could get another, maybe shorter type tower cooler, like an Evo or something, but I was like, let's try something low profile. That way, if I change cases or something eventually, I could carry this over. So this is a 120 watt cooler on a 95 watt CPU. It ought to work fine. And in the unassuming brown box, this is a 1 terabyte hard drive, Western Digital blue, caviar blue, because we're going to do a fresh install of Windows on this, like I said before. That will bring about some complications, but we'll deal with that when we get there. So I'm going to open up all these bad boys, at least as much as I can, without taking too much of the packaging out and keeping them safe until I actually install them, and we'll go over the details. All right, so here's the power supply. This is the EVGA 650 Gold Supernova. I'm going to leave it in the package, in the bag for now, since we're not actually installing anything right now. As you can see, fully modular. Everything you need to put in, you can. Everything else you can take out. So we got plenty of room for everything. Obviously, we got our motherboard, CPU, plenty of VGAs, 4 VGA slots. It's way more than we need. I only need 2. SATA, and I think that's all I'll be using. So all the other spare cables come inside here. Yep, and you can see that. It's probably about the biggest bundle we'll need right there. Sleek black. It's not, individually braided or anything, but this isn't like a show build or anything, so I don't care. Looks classy enough on my other build. I also got to say, EVGA absolutely kicks ass with their packaging, with this whole briefcase thing. I'm a fan of Corsair and their higher end power supplies and all their products actually, but they need to take notes from this bad thing because this thing is pretty cool. I love the packaging. So yeah, there's our power supply, really high quality components since it's gold and whatnot. I don't know if you can see inside there the power rails and capacitors and all that stuff, but yeah, that's good. So there's the power supply, and like I said, showed last time, this thing will be able to fit with ample amount of room sitting, and it's the wrong orientation, sitting like so. Probably have it down so we can exhaust air out the bottom. Yeah, sit right like that, and still have plenty of room up front to move cables and route them up to the motherboard area. That's the power supply. Next is the motherboard. This is the Asus PH61. This is a H61 series. I couldn't remember what. I knew it was an H board because it's non-overclockable. This thing pretty much fulfilled all of the requirements I wanted out of a motherboard. So I think we actually, yeah, this is upside down. Now I'm looking at it. at least for the orientation I'm going to have it, it's going to be like that way, obviously, because I/O was here. In terms of I/O, I guess we can get a decent look at that. Actually has quite a bit of USB ports for how small it is. It's pretty close to my, regular ATX board, which is pretty surprising. So we have two 2.0s there, two 2.0s there, two 3.0s, gigabit Ethernet jack, HDMI, DVI out, VGA out, good old PS2 port, and pretty slim pickings on the audio, but I don't use even like anything more than regular speakers anyway, so it doesn't matter. Socket 11, LGA 1155, which is what I have to have considering the CPU I want to be using. That is completely like whited out there, so I can't even see anything. Turn that away. And then two RAM slots, maximum of 16 gigabytes DDR3, which is what we will be using. But you can turbo boost it up to like, or not turbo boost, I guess, overclock in this scenario up to like 23, 33 megahertz, which is what I'm running currently, and I wanted to, make use of that fast RAM. So that will fulfill that requirement. And the only bad thing is that on my i7 2600K, it's not going to be able to fully overclock. It'll just turbo boost from 3.4 to 3.8 gigahertz, which for most in-game performance is not going to change much at all. Might see some increase in times on rendering videos and whatnot, but like I said, if that's the only sacrifice I have to make to performance, and it pretty much is, I will be more than happy to take that. So yeah, that's the motherboard. Only costs like 75 bucks. I can't believe they still sell these things new, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that's that. This is the new CPU cooler we'll be using, and actually it's probably turned out to be unexpectedly like my favorite new part out of all of this. Look how low profile that is. It sits perfectly on the motherboard. I've already tested it where it needs to be. It'll sit in that configuration, like if these are the RAM slots here, like, right here, then it'll sit like right there. There's no clearance issues or anything. So this is really low profile to be a mere 120 millimeter or 120 watts. As well as using a 120 millimeter fan. I love this thing. Like, it looks sleek as shit. Imagine, that sitting inside here, being able to see through the window. I think that's going to look awesome. I love Fantech fans, the white on black. They have some black ones, but I actually like the white ones better. And I have a 140 right there running. I have the window off for a reason. We'll get to that momentarily. But yeah, I'm really pumped about using this thing. I can't believe they are able to pump so much heat out of something in such a small form factor. But I guess it's because of those 6 aluminum heat pipes there. I'm interested to see how the painted fins work. I'm sure that's like conductive paint, and it's not going to even matter as far as heat transfer goes. But I'm interested to see that because I love the look of this thing, though. I think it's going to look freaking awesome, and it's going to cover like almost the entire motherboard. So. It's like it doesn't even matter what the color would have been in the motherboard. So that's pretty cool. And last but far from least, our good old friend, the Western Digital 1TB Caviar Blue. I don't know how many damn times I've bought one of these things or had a friend buy one. This is personally the 5th or 6th time in the past year I've held a OEM drive in my hand that's in this exact type. So yeah, this is my go-to. It should be most go-to builder staple for a 1TB hard drive. I don't use solid-state drives. They're not worth the money to me yet. It's not worth the few seconds that I shave every time I boot up and that sort of thing. So, and I uninstall and reinstall games so often that this is just better off. I always go to Western Digital. I have a Seagate 3TB in my full tower, but I kind of risking it. Like, those things kind of have high failure rates from what I understand, so I don't have anything crucial on it, and everything's backed up anyway. So this will be my go-to. It should be enough room to have the 10 to 20 games that I'll definitely be playing non-stop over the summer, as well as plenty of footage and stuff to keep around. So that's what we're doing, and a fresh install of Windows 8.1 via a optical drive, because I'm old school. I still have one of those. I'll be able to plug into that for installing it. So yeah, that's the final new part. So there is the roundup of all the new parts I bought. This totaled out to be right under $300. Nothing in particular was very expensive. Case was a little under $50, which is actually a lot cheaper than it retailed for new. The power supply I think was the most expensive, which was $80. But like I said, I splurged a little bit on the power supplies, not only for wattage overhead, but because I want nice components. I mean, you want clean power going to your expensive build. $75 for the motherboard. Like $45 for 1TB hard drive, because hard drive capacity is cheap as shit now, and $40 on the CPU cooler. Probably could have gotten by a little cheaper with that as well, but like I said, I want quality components that I can reuse later down the road. So this is, you know, kind of thinking into the future as well. So if you have half a brain, you'll know that this is far from a complete computer. We're missing a lot of core components, especially a GPU if this is going to be a gaming computer, and it definitely is. So all those components that have not been listed yet, they're over here. They currently reside in my full towers. I'm over here underneath my desk like a fucking primate. The CPU is currently hiding under that AIO cooler right now, the i7-2600K. The RAM is right there. That's the 16 gigabytes of DDR3 we'll be using. And that's the GPU we'll be using, GTX 980 Ti. So all of those are going to come out. And, you know, there's other parts in here that I could have reused. I could have taken out probably both of the hard drives to use my Windows 10 installation on. I could have probably used the power supply, but that would have been a pain in the ass because all of my cables are like routed the way I want them, and I just don't want to undo it. So it was worth a little bit of extra money, extra hassle, and having to do a new Windows installation. And because from what I understand, Windows 10 doesn't like when you switch around motherboards and stuff, like you have to contact Microsoft because of the way your key is tied to it and stuff. So I'm fine with doing this, spend, you know, a few hours backing up stuff and that sort of thing. So that's why we haven't began actually building this stuff yet, but we will begin about a week and a half from now, I guess, is when I'll start tearing down everything. I got the, you know, backup footage and that's kind of shit. But yeah, that's all the core components. And I can't wait to get that thing, massive thing, into that little box. I'm really interested. This will be my first Mini-ITX build. So yeah, guys, stick around. This has been episode 0, I guess is what I'll call it. And stay tuned very soon for episode 1 and any, you know, episodes past that of me building this Mini-ITX monster. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Bye.